appear to be doing that in any kind of full-throated way. Trump appears to be working with the remnants of the old dictatorship. And what it means to run Venezuela, that was his phrase at the press conference this morning. What the hell does that mean? We really can't engage unless we're willing to go all out with boots on the ground and say it's worth young Americans dying for that kind of nation building and occupation. And I don't think Trump wants to do that. I think he very much wants to avoid that. That's probably how he's working with the remnants of the government. But is anything better going to emerge if that's the case? Now, a few days ago, what was interesting, and I knew Maduro was in trouble when Maduro said, I'll negotiate. Mr. Trump, if you want to talk about oil, drugs, whatever you want to talk about, let's go to the talking table. I knew right then that Maduro was feeling the heat, and it was clear what Trump was planning to do and has been planning to do for the last month now in sending, 15% of the U.S. Navy to be off the shores of Venezuela. He meant regime change, at least to this extent.
Yeah, that's where, I'm somewhat torn. I really enjoy seeing Maduro beg for his life and then him being removed is something that certainly he deserves, and seeing that is good in that sense. The question is where Trump takes this, and another part of the question of where Trump takes this, and again, whether or not this alone should have been done, is we talk about this all the time in the context of Iran. Back in June, when the Iranian regime was all but done, Trump forced Israel to stop and said, I don't like regime change. Regime change is messy. And that's basically his way of saying, I am supporting keeping the oppressive Ayatollah regime in Iran. Now the people in Iran are again rising up in protests, the likes of which I don't think we've ever seen in Iran. And Trump changed his tune yesterday enough that we decided on the topic of today 24 hours in advance, which is quite rare for this channel. And of course, we found out that there's a reason why it's rare. Yeah, is Trump now okay with regime change in some places? Oh. He's actually going to run Venezuela that doesn't need him running it, probably.
There's a greater justification with Iran. Iran has killed hundreds and hundreds of Americans. I mean, all the way back to the barracks bombing in 1983 in Beirut through their proxies, Hezbollah, which had just gotten started. But hundreds of Americans, thousands of Israelis, the Iranian regime is responsible for killing. Through their proxies, like the Houthis and so forth, they have disrupted international. So wait a minute here. When coming to power, they captured the U.S. embassy and kidnapped diplomats. We have had justification. They cry death to America and they try to get a nuclear weapon. If that doesn't justify Americans engaging in regime change, Mr. Trump, I don't know what does. So I didn't see Iran screaming death to America and trying to get a nuclear weapon. I don't think they're responsible for killing American soldiers and Marines in the numbers say that Iran has been killing them or shutting down international trade. On the other hand, even just Venezuela's alliance with Iran is troubling to me, and their proximity to the United States and their support for Cuba, etc. Those are more valid justifications for regime change in Venezuela. But let me suggest, Mr. Trump, that regime change in Iran is far more justified. If you want to take out both of these dictators, maybe it's a good idea for the region in America and for the Middle East. But at least have the correct justification. Don't use extra constitutional means in doing so. Give us the correct moral justification. Being a drug state is not a good enough reason. I don't care if it gives you the facade of legality to indict him on drug charges. That is a distraction, a thorough distraction. The only thing that matters is Venezuela's threat to the United States. And in that respect, their alliances with Cuba, Iran, and China are much more concern and a valid justification for this than anything else. I share your concerns about running Venezuela. That suggests to me all kinds of boots on the ground, and that could mean something that isn't worth it for the United States.
And he did say we're not afraid of boots on the ground in
this case. Isn't that interesting? Because in every other case, whether it's Ukraine or Gaza, boy, America boots on the ground, he's reluctant about, or Iran, reluctant about that. But in Venezuela, no. Now, I understand Venezuela is far more proximate to the United States, absolutely. But he's not going after every drug regime in Latin America. He was going after Maduro. And at least be honest about what your justifications were, Mr. Trump.
Thank you, Jacob, for the super chat. One of our regular trolls in the chat says, only absolute retards would see the US doing something for good and not for its evil profits. It is not at all surprising to me that you think profits are evil. I mean, you're supposed
Profit is virtue. Profit means wealth is being produced. People are better off. The creation of wealth is pro-life. Okay, yeah, no. But the point is that America, when it helped Britain take out the Nazis, or America when it took out the Japanese Empire, did good things. America can use its force for good. The North was right in defeating the Confederacy and ending slavery. America was right when it fought Britain in the Revolution and the War of well, you probably didn't need to get into War of 1812, but still, we were on the right side. America can use its force for the good, and it has. So I respectfully disagree, sir.
Well, I hate to disagree with Bonnie, of all people, but I will read something that she said here, and I do somewhat disagree. Bonnie says, something that really bothers me. Trump said you should have seen the operation last night. It was so great. I'm not sure you'll ever get to see it. And Bonnie says, we find out about this coup from the news. Now, first of all, in terms of what we get to see, there was something in the press conference, the general, I forget his name, listening to him talk, I kind of, it felt to me like, like I feel when I watch some action drama on television. The guy was so impressed with just stuff that military does, oh yeah, we had to plan for months and we had to look at the weather and all that. But also the conversation about whether or not this was a thing the US needed to do aside, if it is, I don't want to find out until it's done, because if I know, the guy knows they're coming.
Bonnie, if a war is justified, I do not want the attack to be announced the night before, okay? I want to find out about it after the fact, if that saves American lives or our allies' lives. Look, if it's saving American, Israeli, British lives, we need to do surprise attacks sometimes. That's why we have such a thing as classified information. So we know what the enemy is up to and know how to respond to it. And sometimes, I do not want to know until after the fact if the war is morally justified in the first place. I'll grant you that premise has to be satisfied first.
Oh, I was muted. Yeah, I should remind people that sometimes if we're talking about war and bad stuff and any of us are smiling, it's probably because Daniel, the producer, is saying something in the chat. He said, thankfully, Hegseth was left out of the group chat on this one. Yeah, so we...
Ooh, that was a good one, huh?
Yeah, Daniel...
and if I am smiling or giggling, I do not mean to understate the importance of this. This is life and death stuff. This is international affairs. This is war and peace. This is not a joking matter.
Yeah, and Bonnie follows up saying, we didn't need to see it in real time. I mean, we'll never know the details ever.
I'm not sure that's the case either, Bonnie.
Yeah.
I think very often, in fact, almost always, governments want to justify from their standpoint. We may get a very selective account of the information, and it is for critical historians to keep their critical eye on that. But I suspect we'll learn much more about the details, these diversionary attacks, so forth, the cutting off of electricity, the plant we had within the Venezuelan government that made it, that was tracking Mr. Maduro's movements and so forth. We'll learn all about, and how the weather delayed this for at least 4 weeks and so forth. Yeah, we'll learn all about that. I already have some of the details, Bonnie, but I suspect we'll get a lot more in the days and weeks.
Yeah, and by the way, part of the reason we'll probably get a lot more is because, again, like Pete Hegseth is like it seems like he's playing a video game and he's super excited and wants to tell the world. So we might get the details for all the wrong reasons. Feral Lunch Lady says, maybe we can't be told after the fact because we have assets in the enemy government who help. Let's be discreet to protect them. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff in war that it's sometimes good not to know the details,
And
but
I don't
it's
want to
always
know about
important to
Israeli.
question whether or not the action itself is
Yeah.
legitimate.
And I
That
don't
is
want to
the
know about Israeli assets in Iran or Syria either. I mean, I don't really need to know because it's their death should the regime find out that there's Israeli Mossad operatives in Iran or Syria. You know what that means, right? So, yeah, ignorance is sometimes a better state to be, at least contextually, in certain contexts.
Because one of the things we don't know, and we talk about this all the time in the context of anything to do with the current administration, whether it's foreign policy, domestic policy, is we don't really know what's going on. We don't know what the general, like, what's the guiding principle, because it seems like there isn't one. But that also means we can when we speculate, we can try to be optimistic, hopefully within reason. And my attempt at optimism goes back to the Truth Social post yesterday and to the possibility that somebody in Trump's circle will say something like, "What are you, Obama? You're not going to follow up?" Insult him into doing this, or whatever it takes. Um, and
Embarrasses him into doing this if he's unwilling to follow up on what he said yesterday.
Yeah, and
Huh.
Russia and China, that's another problem. He doesn't realize that they're enemies, but they are. And if they see Trump going after their allies, and again, Iran, when he says regime change is messy, but then he does it, overnight in Venezuela, it's because it's easy to do overnight in Venezuela and not as easy in Iran.
Yes. Yes.
Um,
See,
but
the
if it does
international
happen,
blowback is entirely different with Venezuela and Iran, is it not? But the point is, it's more justified to overturn the regime in Iran, in my view, and to do it as of yesterday, 40 years ago, in fact. But you're absolutely correct. If both the Iranian and Venezuelan regimes do get toppled and something at least noticeably better occurs, and I mean, you can't ask for perfection, but if something noticeably better happens in Iran and Venezuela, that would send a very salutary, that would have a salutary impact. That would send a delightful message to all of America's enemies, discouraging China from invading Taiwan, letting Russia, we know we're serious about Ukraine and so forth. It would be a blow to the bad guys if
yeah,
if two of their strongest allies, the dictatorships in Iran and Venezuela, were replaced, if they are replaced, by
yeah, and as
something better.
far as far as I know, there have been protesters killed, right, since that Truth Social post, and we have seen some videos that suggest that people from outside are being brought in because the Iranian regime is struggling to deal with them, so they're bringing in whether it's Hezbollah or Houthis or
Welcome to the show, my friends. Okay, so Venezuela has been, Maduro has been captured. Venezuela, I suspect, is under full United States administrative control. And we've listened to these guys go on, and I'm sure there'll be lots more to return to on the topic of the arrest of Maduro in Venezuela by Donald Trump. So I suggest that we jump into the topic of every day, and that is our friend Von Helton, because Von Helton, he's America's village idiot, and here he is with the first of two presentations. The second one is about Venezuela. What have I done? Oh, I meant to press this one.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. It's Morning Coffee 25. And Speaker Johnson got behind a podium just recently and says that we should be outraged that the Obama administration, under Obamacare, allowed millions and millions and millions of illegals using fake Social Security numbers to get all kinds of free benefits. And Speaker Johnson is 100% correct. We should be outraged by that. Every American should be outraged that illegals were getting free stuff with fake Social Security numbers under the Obama administration. Well, Obama, kind of the same thing, isn't it? Under the previous administration and under Obamacare in particular. And we should be outraged, and rightly so. We should be outraged. However, Speaker Johnson, I will remind you, Speaker Johnson, that we were denied our last stimulus check some time back. We were denied our last stimulus check. I'm still waiting on that last, what was it, $1,500 stimulus check, I believe it was. Still waiting on that motherfucker, and we never got our last stimulus check. I'm not going to forget, Speaker Johnson, I'm not going to forget that we didn't get our last stimulus check way back when. I'm not going to forget that, because that's $1,500, man. That's...
What the fuck is he talking about? To Speaker Johnson? Speaker Johnson, that's $1,500 that the government, that you and everybody in this country paid money into in order for me, Von Helton, to get a $1,500 check. I have not forgotten about that. Speaker Johnson. Speaker Johnson. This guy's so arrogant.
That's a lot of money to me. But
so arrogant.
In addition to that, you shot down in flames our $15,000 Doge check to every American, citing that we don't have the money. But yet we got the money to give it to Israel.
Oh!
And yes, also we gave some to Ukraine too. But we've got the money to give it to Israel, but we don't have the money to give us every American a $15,000 Doge check. Why? Why is that?
What? Why?
Why is that?
Why isn't he talking about the $10 billion fraud in Minnesota? We know all about that. He hasn't mentioned one word about that. I think that this Von Helton is a domestic terrorist. I want you to spread the word far and wide that Von Helton is a domestic terrorist. He needs to be taken out of general society and monitored 24/7. That's how psychotic, crazy, and arrogant and narcissistic and everything negative to society about Von Helton. He gotta go. He gotta go.
Pentagon wastes trillions of dollars every year.
Hey, Melanie.
Every year. But you can't somehow find the $15,000 per American to give us our Doge check? Bullshit. Bullshit, Speaker Johnson. Yes, I am outraged that millions of illegals used fake Social Security numbers under the Biden administration and the Obama administration to get free shit. I am outraged by that. But I'm equally outraged over the fact that I didn't get my $15,000 Doge check. I didn't get my last stimulus check from way back when.
Yeah, but you're going to get your $5 from Toby Michael. It's not all bad. It's not all terrible.
And the $2,000 stimulus check that Trump promised us, I didn't even get that one either. So I have a lot to be upset about. All right. And it's all coming from your office. That 50.
Look, let's face it. While he was waiting for his Doge check and his stimulus check and his this check and that check, he has had every opportunity to get out of his car and go and find something to do that will give him some kind of a compensation for what he does. I mean, it's not that difficult to find something to do with the minimal skills he might have. The fact is, and this is my opinion, and it may be speculation, but Von Helton, sitting in his car, is exactly where he wants to be. He wants to be sitting in his car. He wants to be getting donations flooding in so that he can, maybe step up to a rooming house or whatever. But he either wants to be in his car or he wants to win the Powerball. There's no in between. That's the problem with this man. Powerball, billions in the lottery, or I'll wait. Crazy. Absolutely crazy.
$15,000 Doge check would absolutely skyrocket this economy. If every American got their $15,000 Doge check, the economy would take off like a rocket. Why? Because people have money in their pocket and people go buy shit. In addition to paying their bills, I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of people out there with mortgages, but you pay your bills and then you go out and you buy shit. And this stimulates the economy. The businesses.
The modern day Milton Friedman, ladies and gentlemen, professor of economics, Von Helton, has replaced Milton Friedman as the forefront, the foremost, most forefront thinker in economic philosophy.
Are like, hey, people are buying our shit. Let's hire more people. And so they hire more people. And so instead of being a negative situation, it's now a positive situation. Okay.
And
then the $2,000.
Well, we know that his car works because he turns it on for the heat. Whether it drives or not is another story. And I don't know if he does drive here and there, does he have to remove those garbage bags? It looks like they're in exactly the same position, unless he's become an expert garbage bag curtain hanger.
Stimulus.
J-Dub's been giving 50s every week, I think. It's in the car or it's a Powerball lottery winning. That's it.
That Trump promised on top of that would really help us right now. That would really help every American, right? I know, especially for the holidays, we could have really used that for the holidays.
But really? Oh, so he's right at home. He's never moving then. Because they get to, I wonder if he'll start a friendship with, this could go places. This could actually change from one man sitting in a car to a bunch of homeless people blaming the president for not having installed full capitalism in the country while waiting for their stimulus checks from the government, right?
But you keep shooting it down in flames. Every time somebody proposes the American people to get some money, you shoot it down in flames, Speaker Johnson. Why is that? Why are you doing that, Speaker Johnson?
Exactly, Melody.
Do you hate the American people? Is that what it is? I mean, what am I to assume from this?
Yeah, right.
We didn't get our last stimulus check. And now more recently, we didn't get our Doge check. And now we didn't get our $2,000 stimulus check from Trump. And I'm sure there's probably if I do some digging, there's probably some other stuff we were denied as well.
How much do you think he's claiming that he's owed from the government? Well, $15,000 stimulus check plus a $1,500 stimulus is $15,000 Doge check and a $1,500 stimulus check, right? Something like that. So there's 16,500 right there. Woo! Man's rolling in it.
And so I'm just trying to figure out what the deal is there, Speaker Johnson. Yes, I'm outraged that millions of illegals under the Biden administration, Obama administration used fake Social Security numbers to get tons and tons and tons of money. I am outraged by that. But I'm equally
Nope.
outraged over the fact that we didn't get our $15,000 Doge check and that we didn't get our $2,000 stimulus check as promised by Trump.
Oh, okay. It's not $1,500 stimulus check. 15, yeah, it's $2,000 stimulus check as promised by Trump. Not that I heard anything, but maybe his hearing is better than mine.
And I'm still waiting on the last stimulus check that we were supposed to have gotten under the previous administration.
But hold on a second, Mr. Von Helton, sir. You do not have an address. How does a stimulus check arrive to you without a mailing address? I hope you watch this, and I hope you listen to this question. I hope you answer it, because I'm stumped.
When do we get our money, Speaker Johnson? You've got a year in now, okay? You're in there for a year now, okay? Which means you only got 3 years left. 3, that's it, 3, just 3 years. Okay, where's our money?
Right, I forgot about that. I mean, I'm still in the check writing stage of my of the 20th century.
Where's our money? It's our money, Speaker Johnson.
How much did you give? Why is it your money, Speaker Johnson?
It doesn't belong to Israel. It doesn't belong to Ukraine. But yet that's exactly what you did, wasn't it? You gave our money that should have come to us in the visions of a Doge check, and instead you gave it to Israel and you gave it to Ukraine. Why? Why didn't you give it to the people? It's our money. It belongs to us. Why didn't you give it to us?
Well, if you had a job and you were working for a steady income that could support your miserable lifestyle, you wouldn't care. The only reason you care is because you've decided to be a lazy bum and sit in your car and talk nonsense to your camera and expect money to be rolling in. You're nuts.
Again, let me reiterate. The Pentagon wastes trillions of dollars every year. Trillions, with a T as in Tom. There is no reason why every American cannot have a $15,000 Doge check. There is no reason, unless you just don't want to give it to us. That's the only reason. Because there is no reason mathematically, because mathematically...
So this is how Von Helton e-begs now. He doesn't ask you for donations. No. He's getting his $50 a week from J-Dubs. But he's speaking directly to the Speaker of the House of Representatives in Congress. Listen up, Mike Johnson, Speaker.
It's our money. We're owed it. And it's wasted by the Washington, D.C. all the time anyway. I mean, these foreign countries that are getting these handouts from us, they can't go a couple years long enough for us to get our Doge check. Yeah, they can. You just don't want it. You just don't want it happening. So what's up with that, Speaker Johnson? Inquiring minds want to know. I want to know. That $15,000 would get me out of my car and into me an apartment, at least for a while. So what's the deal, man? What's the deal on that shit? You can send it straight to my Cash App. You send it straight to my Cash App. You know, there was even talk about us getting these direct deposit cards, the green cards from the government. I still got mine. It's old and faded, but I still got it.
Von Helton, step out of your car. The president has sent a car and some dignitaries to persuade you to leave that garbage bag on 4 wheels and be flown directly to Caracas, Venezuela, to assume the presidency. I hope that your Spanish is at least conversational.
What's up with that, Speaker Johnson? Where's my money, Speaker Johnson? I get it, like I said it before, and I'll say it again. I get it all the time. People say, what can I do, Vaughn? What can I do? You can call your congressman and your senator and say, where the hell's my Doge check? Where the hell is my stimulus check? Hell, where's the stimulus check from the previous administration, which was the last stimulus check we were supposed to get? Where the hell is it? Where's the current one that promised by Trump? And where's our Doge check? That's something you could do. Oh, I'm slow charging, it says. No, we don't want to slow charge. But yeah, man, where's my money, Speaker Johnson? Where's it at, dude?
Oh, fuck, listen.
I should be getting some money, bro. Trillions of dollars wasted by the Pentagon every single year. Is that why Elon Musk is no longer there? Because he was just about ready to crack open the Pentagon and see just how much money is wasted every year? Was that why Elon is gone? Inquiring minds want to know, Speaker Johnson. Is that why Elon is no longer around? Because it was that close to busting open the Pentagon and finding all that waste, fraud, and abuse. And we can't have that, can we, Speaker Johnson? No, we can't have that. Nope, nope, no way, man. No way, man. But I mean, but seriously, I want my Doge check, bro. Where's my money? It's my money. It's my money. Where's it at? Anyways, just thought I'd share because he got behind a podium and started talking. So I'm going to respond. Anyway, don't forget to like, share, rate, subscribe, donate, click the bell, and pontificate. Because your donation and gift of love keeps me going through these trying times. Have a wonderful day, folks. Bye.
Okay, so now the future president of Venezuela will take the podium and announce the latest conditions on the ground in this dynamic and unfolding situation. To update you, President Trump went into Venezuela and grabbed Maduro and yanked him out of Venezuela because he was doing such a shit job. And we, who know Von Helton and his skills, we believe that Von Helton is the perfect man for the job to replace Maduro in Venezuela as president. I wonder if Von Helton feels that way himself. Let's find out.
All righty. Well. It looks like good old Maduro will not be posing a problem to the United States anytime in the near future. Donald Trump has posted on Truth Social and elsewhere and has, I don't know if he's given an official statement to the media, but he has talked to, I think, some media in regards to the fact that we seized the Capitol and we have taken Maduro and his wife intact and unharmed and have politely removed them from the country. Now we need to go after the narco-terrorist villas and destroy them and the occupants thereof, and that should go a long way to curtailing the narco-terrorism that is prevalent in the United States. Now, as far as Maduro
is concerned, he can wait. Let's just say hi to Darren. Hey, Darren. Your favorite Kentuckian hillbilly, stinky, goat-smelling vagabond is on screen, just waiting for his turn to be called by President Trump to become the new president of the new 51st state of the United States, Venezuela. Hey. All right, here it is.
Has anybody noticed that he is an exact duplicate of Saddam Hussein? Am I the only motherfucker that noticed this shit? He is literally his twin.
Which is why he deserves the position of president, because he's so fucking observant.
And it makes me wonder if Maduro isn't his body double, or one of them. And it also makes me wonder if an American administration back in the past didn't put him into power. Makes you wonder. Anyway, he's out of power now, and he is facing charges of narco-terrorism and various and sundry other things. And they have assured me, Pam Bondi and Trump have both assured me and others that...
Oh, wow, but your phone doesn't work, Von Helton. Maybe they sent you an email. Yeah, that must be it. It's the only way.
They will face the full justice of American resolve. You don't kill 300,000 Americans every year and think you're going to get away with it. So let that sink in for a minute, folks. 300,000 Americans a year. That's more than any war, if I'm recalling correctly. That's more than any war we've been in. 300,000 a year. That's a lot of dead Americans. Somebody's got to pay for that. And so now it looks like Maduro and his wife are going to pay for it. So now that they are out of power, we can go on ahead, hit the narco-terrorist villas that are probably dug in like a Mississippi tick, as the old saying goes. But that's okay. We got bunker busters for that. Take out these villas, remove the narco-terrorist leaders from power. Because, I mean, let's be honest. Was Maduro really in power? No, I think the narco-terrorist leaders were in power. You know, it's just like Iran. Is the Ayatollah Khomeini really in power in Iran? No, the mullahs are. The mullahs are the power behind the throne. You know, same way with Venezuela. Was Maduro really in power? No, I think the narco-terrorist leaders were in power. But now we can hit them with impunity and take them out, and thus severely reduce the amount of deaths here in the United States, and that's a good thing. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
One could call it a silent war, considering the number of deaths. One could easily call it a silent war, because that's nuts, man. 300,000 a year. That's a lot of dead Americans, folks. That's not funny. That's not one damn bit funny. And like I said, Pam Bondi and Trump assure us that they will face the justice of the American people. And that's awesome. Put them on Guantanamo Bay. Send them to Guantanamo, man. But anyways, so yeah, now Mexico, before I leave out of here, Mexico is all bent out of shape. Oh my God, we're gonna destabilize Central America. No, we're not going to destabilize Central America. Mexico, the Mexican representatives are, Central America has always been very peaceful. And so, dude, you got a brutal dictator right there in the smack dab middle of it. Where are you getting peaceful from? What brutal dictator has ever been peaceful in history? Where are you getting that shit from? Now there's going to be some peace, because now the people, who, by the way, did not want Maduro in power. Let's just be clear on that. The people of Venezuela did not want Maduro in power. Overwhelmingly did not want Maduro in power. Maduro has stayed in power with them damn electronic voting machines. Let's just be clear on that. So now that he's out of power, we can hit those narco-terrorist villas, take them out, and everything will be just ducky.
We now have General, or should I say Field Marshal Von Helton, talking about what's going to happen and how it's going to happen in the field of warfare. What a talent! And
then the people of Venezuela are now free. They can now vote in somebody that will actually treat them well, instead of Maduro, who, all things considered, was treating them like shit, from what I understand. Maduro, just like Saddam Hussein, was enriching himself, whereas the people were suffering and starving in some cases even. And so now that he's out of power, now the people can be free and have a fair election and actually put in who they want to be in power, someone that's going to actually do right by the people. At least let's hope. Let's hope. Okay, because even though they're Catholics, for some stupid reason they're communist as well. So I don't know where the communism gets in there, because communism's first tenet is that there is no God. So why in the hell are Catholics supporting communism? Well, that's a damn good question. I still have not gotten a good answer to that. Because the very first tenet of communism is that there is no God. So why in the fuck are all these Catholics in Central and South America embracing communism? It seems very...
Did he say that the very first tenet of communism was there is not God? There is no God? Well, it's a damn good thing we have our friends at Google to help us out, right? So let's do it. What is the very first tenet? What is the very first how do you spell that? Tenant of communism. Tenet of communism. Okay. The very first and central tenet of communism, as advanced by Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels in the Communist Manifesto, is the abolition of private property. So, von Helton, you are wrong. The very first tenet of communism is not anything to do with God or no God. It's about the abolition of private property. You, von Helton Schmelton, are wrong. Again. Ha! So, ladies and gentlemen, von Helton, not only is he a liar, he is a liar. Liar, liar, liar.
Counterintuitive to me. But anyway, now they've got a chance to be free. And now we have a chance to hit these villas, these narco-terrorist villas, and take them completely out. You know, if we could take the villas intact, that would be nice. Because they are nice, they're nice homes. I mean, hell, yeah, they ought to be for all the money that was spent on them. They're nice homes. But, if not, then just take them out with bunker busters and get the shit over with. And maybe take out their leaders. Maybe if we can get their leaders intact too and send their happy ass to Guantanamo Bay.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, why not? Right? And
obviously, he hasn't read the damn communist. Thank you. Tenet. I'll never forget that. Communism. Exactly. Where was the atheism in Catholic Cuba? You got a copy of the Communist Manifesto in your library? How thick is it, actually? I'd like to know. I don't know. Once the leader's taken out, what have the people there got to fight for? Who do they fight for? Who's their leader? I don't think so. And unless Vaughn becomes president, then all hell will break loose for sure.
They can hang out with Maduro. They can all share hell cell together. How about that? But anyway, victory in the dark of night, and with very little loss of life, which just absolutely, oh my God, the media is just so mad that there isn't thousands and thousands of deaths. And that's isn't that horrible?
Like Hitler during the putsch. Little cowardly von Helton.
The media is actually mad that there isn't thousands and thousands of deaths because we did a midnight raid and snuck in there, got Maduro, Very little damage, very little casualties.
No casualties. Are you talking about, Marcus? Are you talking about the military of Venezuela has called for armed conflict with the U.S.? Oh, man. I bet you Donald Trump regrets what he's done now. Okay. Well, it reminds me of that information minister when Saddam Hussein fell, and he stood up and said, you know, as soon as they hit Baghdad or they come in, they're going to be hitting the gates of hell and they will be all eliminated in bullshit. Yes, look what this major victory has done for Vaughn. Living in his car. I love it. You know, he's living in luxury compared to some people. So what the hell is he complaining about?
Hardly any civilian casualties at all. There was some explosions at the Capitol, and we took Maduro and his wife intact. And the media has just absolutely been out of shape. I ain't no deaths. Well, no, that was the plan, dummy. We don't want to kill nobody. We just want to get Maduro out of power so that the people can vote in who they want. Wow, what a concept. Anyways, just thought I'd share because I can and because I should and because it's a victory. Because now 300,000 Americans that should have died this year hopefully will not die this year because Maduro is out of power. And hopefully now we can strike the villas, the narco-terrorist villas in Venezuela, and get their leaders as well. And like I said, if we can take the villas intact, that would be nice. But if not, just send them a bunker busters and get it over with. Anyways, that's going to do it for me. Don't forget to like, share, rate, subscribe, donate, and hit the bell, and pontificate if one so desires, because it is your donations and gifts of love that keep me going through these trying times. Have a wonderful day. Bye.
So, where do we go from here? Let's find out. All right. Come with me, and we will journey into the land of news. All right, let's go and see what's going on here. There's protests in America. This guy's following it, and his name is Nate Friedman.
The right way to do it? Well, I can't tell you the right way to do it, but right now what I know is that this is not the right way. This is only bringing more problems to our country when we already have problems ourselves. So
yeah, if we were to just like brainstorm a little bit, like how do you help the Venezuelan people? Because 84% of them are in poverty.
And a lot of them are in poverty, but I genuinely can't answer that right now because, like I said, our country is falling. Our country ourselves is falling. We can't help another country if our country is literally falling. Our economy is destroying itself. Literally, our government doesn't care. Congress doesn't care. So how can we help another country? How?
And have you been thinking about Venezuela a lot before this happened?
I have. All the countries that aren't free yet.
I have a better idea.
Sudan, Palestine, Congo, all my Latinos countries, Honduras, Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, all of them. This is a conversation every single day that I have with
all right, this is just low IQ people.
Family.
No clue. Let's go to these guys here. I really like listening to them.
Towards China, Russia and Ukraine in the context of China, America and Europe in the context of China. So very much that's going to be something that we're doing more as we go on the channel. And if you are from China or you are from the Asian theater, Indo-Pacific, as the late Prime Minister of Japan called it, then yeah, join the community if you want. But let's keep going. Oh my God, there's so many comments. How many of you watching? Oh wow, there's so many people watching.
You know something?
2,000 people. Wow, that's a lot. Okay, well, cool guys. Nice to meet you all.
You know something? We forget that there's an uprising in Iran happening right now. So let's go and see what's going on.
Be involved in Iran. I think so, but we'll see. We'll see. You might be. I mean, that's a legitimate concern. And thank you so much for the super chat.
Be one winner in this showdown, and it was not Venezuela.
Guys, you want a pro-Shah song? Okay, I'll play you a pro-Shah song. Okay, hold on. This is. Listen to this. This is I don't know if I should translate it for you guys or not. Should I translate this for you guys? Wait, listen to this. So given that you cannot understand what they're saying, just know that these are the footage. These are footage from Iran during the Pahlavi time. And the song starts by saying, this is a new song that they created. They took another song and they changed it. And it says it starts with the name, in the name of Shah. So instead of saying in the name of God or in the name of Allah, it starts with in the name of Shah. So listen to this.
به نام پهلوی رها شویم ز یوغ بندگی شب سیاه ما ز نور شاه.
All right. This sounds like a little bit more like Iranian nationalism than anything interesting, to be honest. So let me I'll put the sound back on until I find a alternative. Yeah.
For another 15 minutes.
It's
Make this a sort of just over 2.5 hour stream, which would be about sort of 1 hour 40 because it was a large proportion was Trump. I might cut that out actually. Shall I cut that out? Maybe. But anyway, yeah, Russia is cooked. Let's keep going for a little bit. Now, when I hear military action, I think of jousting. This is something that I think, I don't know if I mentioned this yet, but I do want to come back to this, which is regime change versus leadership change. I think I covered this earlier on in the stream, but like right now you've got a problem in that they only took out Maduro or removed him. Now you've got a government who says it's going to work with the US, but you've also got an opposition. You've got basically things are not going to be easy for the Venezuelan people now. You've got a country that's going to be administered somehow by the US, but there's still going to be internal divisions and therefore instability. And so, yeah, I think it's it's unfinished. And sure, you know, some of you might argue, well, it's not finished because they are getting started on the economic and political front. But, you know, Colombia has also made it clear that they're not very happy. And there's a lot of relationship between Venezuela and Colombia for different reasons across the border. So I need to learn more about the VP. What I'm going to do is once after this stream, I'm going to chat with some Venezuelan friends or colleagues who I know more about this than I do in terms of who remains, who are the who's who, what that means. Because relative to, say, the sort of theocracy of Iran, Venezuela is sort of supposed to be more of a conventional government, right? President, prime minister, defense minister, et cetera, et cetera. So it's going to be interesting to see who out of these remaining actors comes forward as some of the most prominent. I think the interior minister, defense minister are a couple of the most important. But yeah, there's that. So Yeah, that's what this question actually leads to. How do they do that without some forces on the ground? I mean, that is a key point. Who's going to be like, people who know more about this, as I say, than I do, emphasized that Maduro's most inner circle or security detail were Cuban. They're not Venezuelan, because the Cubans are obviously incredibly well trained at this for the past 60, 70 years of dealing with the US embargo and so on. So what is the sentiment amongst the Venezuelan military? What is the sentiment amongst the intelligence services or security services, etc.? How's that going to differ? Yeah, I think that's a really good question about how do you actually enforce that? Because another statement that Trump said caught my ear was, you know, we're not fearful of boots on the ground. Okay, hang on. You said that you were against military action. And I mean, military action in a airstrike is one thing, but military action with actual physical boots on the ground, we're sort of, that's gearing towards state building. Like, depending upon the style that the Trump administration seeks to do in Venezuela, we're sort of reverting to sort of, well, state interventionism. That's no different to what George Bush did in Afghanistan and Iraq. So again, that's a speculation, but you know, if he's insinuating that they're actually going to put American forces on the ground in Venezuela, that's not really that different. I hope he's bluffing, but the one distinction in all of this is that people were sort of drawing parallels with Afghanistan and Iraq. Venezuela is much more developed. I mean, it's gone incredibly backwards. Unfortunately, the economy is in bad shape, but the remnants of the previous economy, in terms of the infrastructure, the amount of people integrated into the international economy, like telecoms and stuff, is different, right? So it's not going to be quite the same, even if it is state building as sort of in Afghanistan, where you're literally having to build an entire city. Caracas is a pretty cosmopolitan, bustling city. So I think that's quite different. We know how it looks, Peter. Okay, I'm not sure what that means. Although that was a while ago. Wow, I'm so far down. Okay, let's jump here. All right, well, with that, should we do a little bit of Iran? Should we cover Iran a little bit, ladies and gentlemen? Because I think that's what some of you joined for me to talk about. So, that's a great segue, isn't it? What a great pivot. Iran, Venezuela. So, some of you may know, I don't know, I'm sort of readjusting my shirt here. Also, I did find this shirt. I think I did, so I can link it for some of you who said you like it. Christmas present from my family, actually, so that's why I'm wearing it. But I was wearing it for my Christmas and New Year's celebrations, but I decided to wear it partially as a celebration for Maduro, but also just because, wow, you guys get to enjoy me looking snazzy. Anyway, Iran, Venezuela, very interesting relationship. I'm not saying I'm an expert. I'm not going to go in intricate details here, but it's very interesting, the relationship between these two countries. I think it was either 2 or 3 years ago, the two signed a strategic partnership, which was at the time, randomly, it sort of caught some people off guard, like out of the blue. It sort of came out of nowhere, which I think is interesting. But it demonstrates also that, especially since October 7th and the and subsequent events since then, the Venezuelans have been receiving a lot of militia, especially from Hezbollah. And there's been a lot of discussions around sort of Hezbollah helping train Venezuelan forces or paramilitia. And
I was just wondering, Marcus, considering that the opposition won the election, Maduro wouldn't allow the opposition to take power. And considering that the United States and most of the world, I guess, supports the opposition leader, as the winner of the last election, wouldn't it make sense that Trump would just install the opposition leader, the recognized winner of the last election, as president of Venezuela, and offer full support in every way? So of course, it could descend into civil war. There's no guarantee, but I don't think so. What do you guys think?
And generally, there was sort of some discussions about Venezuela being a refuge for the Islamic Republic in the future, which goes back to a point I made early on in this stream, that Trump targeted Venezuela maybe because then it means the Islamic Republic has less options. But anyway, also, you know, the two have worked together on disinformation or dissenting sort of interferences in their respective spheres of influence. The Iranians have been instrumental in helping elevate Venezuela's sort of how do you call it, like what's the word, covert operations, the nefarious activities, illicit activities, things like that. Russia, Iran, Venezuela have been fundamental in expanding the Shadow Fleet, which some of you who watch the Ukraine videos will be well aware of. And yeah, that's about as much as I can say realistically on that bilateral relationship, because it's not something I explicitly cover. They've often supported one another in the UN Security Council votes or General Assembly when one has been sanctioned. Venezuela obviously put a strongly worded statement, whatever that means. But it was always difficult really for Venezuela to be fully part of this axis, because just geography. Iran, Russia, China, North Korea, China with an asterisk always, were the center of this, you know, anti-American or alternative to the West world order. But Venezuela was there. They were there on the sort of, if they were the sort of core four, and on the secondary tier, Venezuela, Cuba, maybe Niger, Burkina Faso, you know, there's lots of countries with dissenting views of the US and so on. But yeah, they could never fully engage in that because just of geography. But also BRICS. Some of you who know how much I talk about BRICS remain relatively lukewarm about it. But Venezuela or Maduro was very keen on joining BRICS. Sahel coup belt, yes. They were very keen on joining BRICS, and Brazil was quite keen for them to join, I think, although he was critical.
All right, he's not really talking about anything that's happening right this minute, but this guy is. Have you ever heard of Tim Wilson? Well, Tim Wilson, Professor Tim Wilson, he's a British guy. There he is. We're very well spoken, and I really think he's very well educated. But there are three things that he has against him. Number one, which is the weakest thing he has against him. Number one, he's British. So, you know, his free speech is maybe curtailed. So I don't know about how it works there exactly. Number two, he is Eastern Orthodox. His religion is actually Eastern Orthodox. And number three, he is a diehard hater and opponent of anything that Donald Trump does. He's one of those. He's DTS. However, he obviously has an opinion, and we like to bring both sides in this on this channel. So let's hear what Tim Wilson has to say.
What we've witnessed in Venezuela is not the restoration of democracy, it's the public collapse of a principle that once separated order from brute force. The United States has not merely intervened, it has seized a sovereign head of state, it has kidnapped a sovereign head of state, declared that it will run another country and wrapped this act in the language of rescue. And that is the line that matters. Once crossed, it's very difficult to politely redraw oneself. The facts, I think, are now familiar. In the early hours of this morning, explosions tore through Caracas. Military bases, infrastructure, and the symbols of state power were struck. Within hours, the US president announced that Nicolas Maduro and his wife were in American custody, bound for New York to face indictment. The operation was described as breathtaking, cinematic, watched like entertainment live. The United States then announced something even more radical, that it would run Venezuela until a proper transition could be arranged. That sentence should really stop us cold, precisely because of the events going on elsewhere in the world, in Gaza and in Russia, in Russia's attempt to annex Ukraine. There are parallels here, and they make uncomfortable watching. Running another country is not a technical phase, or not a technical phrase. It's an invasion. It implies trusteeship without consent, authority without law, power without limit. It tells the world that sovereignty is now conditional on Washington's approval. That's not democracy export.
Well, like I said, I mean, I think they're going to try and place the real elected person for president in the role of president. I don't see how Tim Wilson, he's obviously just hates Trump. So he's looking for every single negative that there can be without realizing that within Venezuela, there is support for democracy, a large support, maybe 50% of the country. Maybe 98% of the country supports democracy. I'm an optimist.
That is domination performed. That is imperialism. We thought we'd gone beyond that point. There's no need to romanticize the Maduro regime. It was corrupt, authoritarian, and cruel. Elections were stolen, protesters were beaten and jailed, millions fled. None of this is in any doubt, but morality doesn't work by substitution. You cannot commit an unlawful act because the victim is wicked. You cannot kidnap a head of state, bomb a capital city, and then claim the mantle of justice. That is not how law survives. That is how it dies. And here is the deeper damage. This action does not sit in isolation. It lands in a world already scarred by invasion, annexation, and the rule by force. When Vladimir Putin tore up Ukraine's borders, the argument was simple. No state has the right to redraw the map by violence. No leader may decide what makes no leader may decide that might is right, that might has a mandate. Today, the United States has done something different in method, but identical in principle. It has declared that power grants permission. And that is why this moment fractures the illusion of civilization. The illusion was never that the world was just. It was just, it was that there were lines you did not cross openly. You did not boast about shutting down a capital's lights. You did not treat regime change as spectacle. You didn't announce with a smile that you would run another people's country and profit from its oil while promising them freedom later. The global consequences are severe. Yes, I know there has been Iraq and Afghanistan, but there was a sort of cloak of discretion that covered those events. Now there is no cloak of discretion. China hears precedent. Smaller states hear a warning. If the rules apply only to the weak, then the weak will seek protection not in law but in arms, alliances, and escalation. This is how instability multiplies, not through ideology but through imitation. Even allies feel the ground shift. European leaders speak of restraint and international law, but their words now hang in thinner air. How do you condemn aggression tomorrow when you have rationalized it today? How do you tell others not to do this when the most powerful democracy on earth has done just exactly that? I think despite my rather pessimistic reading of this, there is still hope. Hope doesn't lie in applause or denial. It lies in clarity. It lies in saying without hesitation that this was wrong, even if Maduro was guilty of appalling crimes, which I'm sure he is. I don't think we need to even put the word allegedly around that. That justice requires courts, not commandos, but it requires real international courts, not some jumped up plaything in New York. That democracy grows from legitimacy. It doesn't grow from helicopters. The suffering of Venezuelans doesn't become smaller because their suffering was used as justification for a takeover by a powerful nation.
This, from an educated man like Tim Wilson, to me is word salad. He's talking shit.
There is hope if Venezuelans themselves are allowed to choose their future without foreign ownership of their institutions.
They already did choose their future, remember? And Maduro wouldn't allow that future to take place and move on. Now there's the chance, but Tim Wilson doesn't see it because he's blinded by Donald Trump syndrome, DTS.
And resources, yes. There is hope if the United States steps back from rule and towards law. There is hope if leaders across the world refuse to normalize this moment and instead name it for what it is, a breach that must not become a habit. But let's be honest, rejoining the real world after this is going to be very difficult. Something has been broken. And when civilization becomes optional, it doesn't disappear at once. It erodes quietly, then suddenly. You may think there's an opportunity to do some good by doing harm, but you cannot do a good thing by doing something bad. Nothing good comes from that. Well, something good always comes from it, but...
See, now he's even going back on his own words.
Nothing good intentionally comes from it. This is not idealism. It's the oldest lesson of politics. And tonight, the world is significantly more dangerous because it was forgotten.
Oh, please. What a bullshit statement. That is a simple opinion, a speculation. He's trying to pull the wool over our eyes, isn't he?
And Donald Trump has compromised America.
Now he's just making shit up. Now he's just trying to say, I have to think about things to say against Donald Trump because, I mean, let's face it, this operation in Venezuela was at least as far as up to now, from what I can understand and gather, it was a resounding success. I can't wait to see what happens with the Maduro, with the country. But like I have already speculated that the leader of the opposition who won the last election will become president in short order.
Yeah. And by association, America's allies. Donald Trump has compromised all of those who are seeking.
He's run out of insults for Donald Trump. He's run out of excuses to support Venezuela. Yet he thinks that his opinion, professor opinion, carries any weight whatsoever. It's transparently biased.
Peace in Ukraine, peace in the Middle East. Donald Trump has compromised those people. And I don't know. Suddenly, the way forward is not clear. Suddenly, it's almost impossible not to talk in incredibly apocalyptic terms about this.
You see, he's Eastern Orthodox. Now he's thinking from the point of religion about this, which is totally irrelevant. So this guy's his credibility has slipped quite a bit.
Yeah, I'd be very interested to know what you think.
Well, you've just heard what I think. Anyway, we can flip over to something that's live right now, the Free Press.
The Maduro regime is one of those clients of the authoritarian powers that are such a source of mischief to the world. And so not only China, but also Russia has been a source of support as the regime has sunk ever deeper into the abyss of criminality. What's great about this is that it so clearly sends a signal, President Trump made this clear, to others. I thought that was an important part of his press conference when he said that other leaders in the region should pay attention. I think it's a big reverse for China. China has been trying to build up its position in Latin America and the Caribbean economically for years. The investments have been on a pretty substantial scale, and they've been in pretty much every country. This represents a decisive turning of the tide against that. And I'm not sure what exactly Xi Jinping is going to be able to do in response, because it's pretty hard for China to play in America's backyard if America decides to play hardball.
I want to bring in Iran also, because that's the other big story. You know, Elliot and I touched on it only briefly. Massive protests across the country. Also an oil distributor to China. Can you just connect all the dots for us here in terms of what this is signaling to Iran as the regime seems to be increasingly weaker and weaker by the day, and how China might step in both places? Because I mean, my understanding is China's biggest liability is that they're not energy independent. And so they really rely on Iran and Venezuela and Russia as well, and those three oil producers. So to lose Iran and to lose Venezuela would just be tremendous for loss for China. So can you just connect all those dots and explain that for us a little more?
Well, China's not without its energy resources, but when you look at the hydrocarbons, it's nowhere close to the United States and Russia. That's why China has been investing so aggressively in solar and wind, but also burning coal. And China is the biggest culprit when it comes to burning coal. It still needs oil, though, and it's been getting its oil despite American sanctions from places like Russia and Venezuela. The Chinese, in that sense, had a game plan, which was to diversify their energy resources, and they've done that pretty successfully. So that's part of the story here. The United States, of course, has been able to recover from its big dip in the 1970s and 80s when it was heavily reliant on imported oil. It's become a major oil producer again, as it was in the early 20th century. So the US is back. It's back as a producer of oil. It's back as a producer of natural gas.
There is some breaking news, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm going to bring it to you right now. It comes from no one other than our friend Jason. Jason, the Rev dude. So he's just posted, Ezzy has disappeared. Oh, his heart is broken. His heart is broken. So there's the latest from Jason. In terms of them going live, neither of them has. So we can return to our regularly scheduled program.
Economic interdependency of the US and China, but in other ways, it's very clearly a Cold War. And as in the Cold War, there are regional flashpoints. There are places where indirectly these superpowers can contest. That's Ukraine. To a lesser extent, it's the Middle East. It's also potentially the Far East, as well as the Western Hemisphere. The interesting thing about the National Security Strategy document that came out in November was that it put the Western Hemisphere first in the order of priorities. And that's the first time that that's been true in a very long time. We really have to go back to 1904 to see American foreign policy put the Western Hemisphere first. But I think the United States has a pretty good game when it comes to the Western Hemisphere. It can really lean on the regimes it doesn't like, and it can support the regimes it loves, like Javier Milei's government in Argentina. It gets tougher the further away you are from home, because it's just harder to project power. And it's especially hard when you get to the case of Taiwan, which, although it hasn't come up yet, is in fact the big one. I think the United States has a reasonable chance of seeing a major crisis in the Iranian regime. If not this year, then certainly on President Trump's watch, if only because Supreme Leader Khamenei is going to die. I mean, he's a man in his mid to late 80s now. He's going to go at some point, and the regime is on its heels economically. So it seems to me that the US is quite well positioned to benefit from a crisis of the Islamic Republic without necessarily needing to do that much directly to interfere. Leave it to the Israelis. They're doing a great job. The problem is Taiwan, because that's in China's backyard, and that's the big prize as far as Xi Jinping is concerned. So the fact that on New Year's Day, more or less, the Chinese conducted a major naval and air exercise in and around Taiwan was a reminder that two superpowers can play.
All right. These guys are starting to ramble on, and of course, we're losing total interest. So we are going to go to Rebecca. Now, here's somebody you want to listen to and you want to watch.
Person, honestly. No, cannot play. Amazing, amazing. All right, so let me see where you guys are here from. Shalom, 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 shalom to Floridians. Hello, Germany, Canada. Hello, hello. Oh my God, I was having an amazing day. I was so proud. And the conference, right? The media brief by Trump and Marco Rubio, and the fact that J.D. Vance was not there. I don't know. Everything made it so beautiful. They mentioned people, lovely people like Lula, for example, that also needs to go. They mentioned the fact that the president, I think it was the president of Mexico that they mentioned, yeah, she's a fake, she's a puppet. The entire country is run by the cartels and the mafia. She has no authority. And it was stated clearly and beautifully. You know how I love it.
Rebecca, I have just been insulted. The worst in my whole life. To learn that the United States doesn't want Canada. Shanny. I couldn't do a Shanny because I'm not that sad.
When I say things that I know, you know, because like I said it a year ago that when she was elected, I was like, you know, she's a puppet, right? She has zero say. And then Trump says it. I'm like, see, Trump. Oh. The way they bypassed the stupid American procedures, right? Is like, it's not a war. He's not really a president. He's a mafia head. So we bring him for justice because he runs a mafia and affects Americans. Amazing, beautiful, beautiful. Hello, Canadians. Hello, Aussies. Hello.
I'm going to try and get a hello.
Yes, take Qatar sovereign fund. That's the key. Yes. Listen, okay. So there are a lot of creatures in this world that I think deserve the funds way more than fill the gap. Whales, dolphins, sharks, amoebas, some diseases, maybe. So yeah, yep. Hello, San Diego. Hello, Texas, Dallas, Texas.
Come on, put me
So
on.
that's beautiful. Iran is next, and America is gonna, like, wear the big boy pants and gonna develop the oil fields properly and gonna run Venezuela because it needs to be done. And there was no apology. There wasn't like, oh yes, we have to do it, we don't want to hurt the sovereignty. No, that mess of a country cannot run itself. It needs a little bit of a hand, like, somebody needs to walk it by the hand. Hopefully it will be independent one day, because seriously, like, it's not that like there isn't like value, right, for Americans to run it for America. It's more that like we all have human, like the truth is that what we actually suffer from worldwide is merit. So every place that you go and develop, right, it means that you take people from a different place that could have developed a different place. Unfortunately, I think this is the problem right now, right? So it's like the war is also not just on places that you like, it's also on people that can do something. Yeah, just saying. All right. Hello, Shona. My country, America, put our balls on the table today. We are standing at full attention, if you catch my drift. Beautiful, beautiful. Your country. You can, Americans, be proud. I'm so proud. I'm so happy. I'm so happy. I love it. It's like when I want people to succeed. I want countries to do good, to do better. Yeah, New York is something else. What's happening? Is it now something happening in New York? Here, maybe I'm okay. So maybe you can cut New York off and take Venezuela instead, like trade. I don't know. You're saying possibly Venezuela did want to go green and reduce the CO2 footprint in the world. The problem is that I don't think you can do that by making people do drugs, because you need people with a functioning brain and not a baked brain to find the different possibilities. So I would have believed it if it wasn't the other industry they chose to invest in. By the way,
well, hold on a second. Are you calling me a Jewish woman, Mora? What are you insinuating?
the way, one of my biggest questions to you guys is like, the drug business so much better than oil? Like, why were they not investing in their oils as much as they invested in their drugs? It's like, do you make that much money on drugs? Is it like good money, good business? What are you saying? Yeah, a bunch of police resigned. All right, I want to see what's happening. I also wanted to celebrate the beautiful day. Okay, how about first we enjoy. We have fun. So Harbinger Zero, you say. So here the recommendation is like, okay, so drugs is easier to laundering and hide tax revenue. Okay. Some business advice here for you all, guys. Not from me. You didn't get it from me. Illegal business, but but Maduro was the state. He took over the state. The taxes are his money. So I don't understand the logic here.
Okay.
Every tax he takes from the people, puts in his pocket. Like what's
all right. Rebecca, you're taking a break. We're going to go over to CW Lemoyne. I really, really respect this guy.
Display of air power, cyber power, space power, sea power, land power, basically joint forces power. The United States military has captured and extradited Nicolas Maduro in Venezuela. Let's take a look at some of the videos and talk about some of the details.
3, 2, 1, fight off.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is all video that has been on X that we've seen. There's been some airstrikes, strategic targets, stuff like that. That's it's crazy in today's world. You know, you see these images and you're like, wow, you know, this is the age of social media. We're getting this.
Yeah, Maura, but there's so few of them. I've never seen it personally. And when you say Jewish women, you really need to say ultra-Orthodox Jewish women, because they're the only ones that do it. When you say specifically in some Hasidic ultra-Orthodox, no. They all shave their heads in the ultra-Orthodox as a just as the culture, as the tradition. So not all, no, it's just the ultra-Orthodox Jewish women that do it. None of the rest of the Jewish women are that crazy. They are crazy, and I'll explain to you in due time why, but they're not, they're more crazy, if you ask me, but they're not that crazy that they shave their heads.
In almost real time. Yeah, close the door. Probably not. Yeah, look at the secondaries on that. This is probably the most chilling if you're Venezuelan, seeing, well, you're probably hearing Fortunate Son play, but you're seeing the Night Stalkers, the 160th.
Wow, can you imagine?
Basically unmolested. I believe the final tally was 1 aircraft was damaged and 1 service member injured, and that's it. No U.S. casualties. And they successfully retrieved Maduro and his wife. This right here, some helicopter, some have said age 64, could be a little bird, shooting both the gun and rockets, which, if it's the Apache, man, I'm curious how they got him there. Did they land him on the Iwo Jima, or I don't know if they have the legs to do this, but definitely there was a lot of air-to-surface engagements at close range with rockets. And then here's a zoomed-out view of that engagement we just saw. I mean, just very precise. A little bit overcast. The weather wasn't clear in a million. I know the moon illumination was high because it was almost a full moon, but with the overcast layer, that kind of negates that slightly. And then about 2 hours ago, there's video of 4 F-16s taken out of El Libertado Air Base, flying low. These are the F-16s. They were heading south. So are they defecting? Because there's no word of any air-to-air kills on either side. Definitely not on the American side, but none on the, I don't know that any got shot down through this. Obviously, this is very new. I took some notes from the briefing, and I kind of wanted to talk about it because, I mean, this is the kind of stuff you spend your whole career training for. Not only do you spend your whole career training for it, but even in professional military education, Air Command and Staff College, all the higher level stuff, all the joint forces, joint planning, joint everything. This is what we kind of scoff, but this is what it is. This is what Red Flag is about. This is what all the integration exercises are about. This is a finely tuned, well orchestrated operation. It's called Operation Absolute Resolve. Basically, President Trump said that all the military was rendered powerless. It was in the dead of the night. They turned all the lights off, which goes to some of the capabilities that are out there. They were ready for us, so it wasn't hugely surprising since we'd been staging off the coast for a while. But no equipment lost, no one lost. They launched out of, I think they said 20 different bases, 150 different aircraft were involved in this. President Trump gave the authorization at 10:46 Eastern time, so 22:46, said good luck and Godspeed, which, wow, right? You're training for this for weeks. I mean, remember all the buildup we've talked about. They've had the Marine F-35s at Puerto Rico. Vermont sent their F-35s. The Growlers have been there. The Raptors have been there. Ospreys are down there. There's all kinds of different stuff that's staging there, waiting for the green light, and they get the good luck and Godspeed. And then 20 different bases. So that's not just that out of Puerto Rico. You're talking from aircraft carriers. The B-1s were involved, other bases, surveillance aircraft, all this stuff. Raisin Kane, the chairman of Joint Chiefs of Staff, said F-22, F-35, F-18, so from the carrier, EA-18, so the Growler, B-1, E-2 Hawkeye, which Wombat will love, other aircraft and drones. There's some video of an RQ-170 landing or in the pattern out there. Not sure if it's associated or what. But they used every component possible. CIA, NSA, NGA, Space Force, which most people don't even know what the Space Force does, but they obviously did some good work here. The cyber commands, all of it, which that's why it was so effective. And that's why nobody can touch this, right? Because when you do a mission like this, suppression of enemy air defenses, everybody's talking about the S-300 or the S-810. Double-digit SAMs are very dangerous. AAA, so anti-aircraft artillery and mobile SAMs, they took them out. This protection force for these helicopters basically took it out and established air superiority. Raptors are there in case anybody launches, which you got to know that something's happening in order to launch. And if your lights out and your comms are out, there's no communication, right? You take down the C2, you don't know what to launch on. And why would you? Because the Raptors are out there spawn camping. They're out there ready to take you down. The F-35 and the Growler combo is the best suppression of enemy air defense in the world. And I know I make fun of the F-35 because it's Fat Amy, because it's not the best looking jet, but it is the most capable. And this shows you how capable that aircraft is. All of the things that happen are a result of the training and the technology of these pilots, the maintainers that got them airborne.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. Thank you, CW. But we are going to go back to our bread and butter. And who is that? You guessed it. Born Helton. Born Helton. Because back on the 14th of September, 2019, Von Helton had something to say. You want to hear what it is? Okay then.
Alrighty. As we can see here, ladies and germs, does Planet 9 exist? And this clown isn't the only one, okay? Let's be clear. I'm not picking on this guy because there's a plethora of videos on YouTube and elsewhere, Daily Motion, Live Leak, all over the fucking place. Does Planet 9 exist? Does Planet 9 exist? Oh my God, does Planet 9 exist? And I'll tell you, this is total bullshit. You want to know why Flat Earth is gaining ground? You want to know, globetards? I'll tell you why. Because you're fucking liars, okay? And the sad part about it is that 2 seconds on the fucking internet, and I can prove this son of a bitch is a liar.
There you go.
Okay? That's the sad part about it. If you globetards wouldn't fucking lie to our faces, Flat Earth probably wouldn't take off hardly near as fast as it has.
We'll find out. It's got to eat, though. Show us how he chews.
See, NASA lies, and then you all perpetrate the lie.
NASA lies, and we all perpetrate the lie.
Spread the lie as gospel truth.
Oh my!
When just a little bit of research proves that, even research on the internet, nonetheless, proves that it's all shit. So this is a combination I was right video, rant video, and ponage video. Because that's exactly what I'm fucking going to do. I'm going to pwn your fucking asses. Does Planet 9 exist? And you can't say that it's some kind of Freudian slip, or I'm being unfair to this guy, because he makes several times well, I don't know if it exists or not, and NASA doesn't know if it exists or not. And now I want you to look at this picture. All right.
Yeah.
Look at this picture. That red circle there, that is supposedly the orbit of Planet 9. Okay, so this motherfucker is sitting there telling you, we don't know if it exists, we don't know if it's real. And he's sitting there showing you the fucking orbit. He's sitting there showing you the fucking orbit. All right? That's one lie right there. I've already caught the motherfucker in a lie right there, because how in the fuck is he going to show you the orbit of a planet if he doesn't even know it fucking exists or not? Hello? Hello? Anybody home? McFly. He can't show you the orbit of something that doesn't exist, folks. He can't. How the fuck's he going to know what the orbit is if they don't even know if it exists or not? Hello? Okay, so that's this picture alone right there pwns his fucking ass. Okay? But it gets even better. It gets even better because, as it turns out, this is something that's kind of near and dear to my heart. The whole Planet 9 thing. It's kind of near and dear to my heart because, see, what y'all don't know is that Planet 9 is none other than Planet Eris. Let me bring her up here, and I'll